My name is LINDSAY Scott. I'm a physiotherapist, and I became a physio because I love people. I believe that every person's got the ability to be the best that they can be, and I know that with physio, a lot of what we do is we've got treatment techniques and intervention, but a lot of it is actually empowering them and helping patients to get better and get back to life. So I really wanted to be able to help people go through difficult times, injury, and then be able to cope with that and get back to the best life that they could. So why did I start Workability? I was frustrated as a physiotherapist. I wanted to do comprehensive rehabilitation. I could see what was happening in research and international guidelines. Yet in South Africa, we are forced to work in quite a medical model because of the funding mechanisms. I wanted to work in a multidisciplinary team with occupational therapists, and I wanted to be able to have the freedom to be able to do the treatment that I need to do to get to the outcomes that I wanted. There are so many people in South Africa that need to be able to access proper, good rehabilitation. And I could see in the practices that I've been in that it often wasn't happening because of funding mechanisms. Either it was too difficult to get payment from the injury and duty funders, or from the medical aid funders, it was just a bit too prescriptive in what treatment we were meant to be doing. So it was very much in the medical model. Okay. So for example, if you felt that the intervention that was needed was to sit with the person, educate them, try and help them move forwards with the rehabilitation, get their buy-in, you might still have to go and do a bit of ultrasound interferential so that you could bill those codes, otherwise you couldn't bill anything. So it meant that you were either just doing the treatment so that you could bill the codes, or you would do the right treatment and have to just add those things on top of it. We all know that if a patient can come through for proper rehabilitation, that it can save so much more money for the funders. Because the patients that are going through for the expensive care, they're going into hospital, they're having scans, they're having operations, they should be going through all the conservative care before they're getting there. And that's not really happening in South Africa. There's a change happening, it's starting to shift, but it's shifting slowly, and that was the fundamental passion of trying to get people better, get them back to life without having to go down a really heavy medical route if it wasn't needed. So the vision of Workability is to be able to give all South Africans access to really good musculoskeletal rehabilitation. So we know that all over South Africa there are really good physios doing good work and getting good outcomes. And physios are generally people that are self-driven, they want to be independent and they want to do the best for their patients. The problem is that we're all spread out all over the place, and we don't have a very united voice in terms of data and being able to show our true worth. The vision of Workability would be to link together all these therapists that are really passionate about doing the right thing for the patient by giving patients that can't afford care, whether it's through injury and duty, because that's a fund that is set up to help people access treatment, or if it's through contracts with medical aids so that it doesn't come out of their savings plans, so that it's affordable for patients. To give those therapists that they can belong to a network, that together we can talk apples and apples. We know we all do things slightly differently, we need to have our independence in how we treat the patients. But we need to be sticking to guidelines, and we need to be measuring our outcomes so that we can show that the value isn't just that we need to adjust the amount of physio money that's out there. We can have a big influence on reducing costs of unnecessary care, and making sure that the right patient gets the necessary care when they need it. So we all know NHI is a hot topic, and there's a lot of stress about NHI and what it's going to do for existing practices, and does it mean that there's threat out there. I see it as abundance. I don't see it as scarcity. I see that there are so many patients that need to have access to care. We know something's got to change. People need to be able to have good rehab, have good care, and we know that rehab has got a very good place to try and prevent more expensive interventions. But the patient themselves can't pay for it, and that's the NHI aspect. So already, if we look at injury on duty, the patient isn't paying for it. So there's already a baby NHI that is out there, that patients can access treatment that is very much in the ICF model, and there's been a lot of development in the IOD space that they are starting to really take hold of the whole model of not just treating the medical model. On the medical aid side, medical aid premiums are going up all the time, and the funders are under huge pressure to be able to try and keep prices affordable so that people stay on the medical aids. And unfortunately, the physio and even more so the OTs fall off that, because it becomes a bit of a grudge spend, like I was saying, so it comes out of savings. So in that situation on the medical aid side, they are understanding and seeing what's happening internationally. They're seeing the research that's coming out that proves that the right rehabilitation, especially stratified rehabilitation, early, can prevent a lot of expenses down the line. Workability offers practices the tools to be able to be the best that they can be, and links practices together to be able to pool that data so that the message is as strong as can be. So workability will provide training and support. There's an element of case management through the IT system to make sure that that therapists are all thinking along the same way. Workability won't control therapists. Workability isn't there to manage therapists. It's there to provide tools, to show outcomes for internal excellence. So if I'm a small practice working on my own, I think I'm doing really good work, I've got good outcomes, but I can't really compare to anybody. I can't compare to the people down the road because I'm sort of in competition with them. And I don't really know if the patients that I'm comparing with are the same type of patients. So to be able to have information on how I fare compared to a national norm is powerful, because it makes me know, no, I'm all right, or maybe I'm better than everyone else. Maybe there's some other, maybe I can contribute to training and making sure that everyone is getting really good outcomes, or maybe I'm a little bit on the lower side, and workability can support and direct me as to what training I could do, or try and upskill. Workability aims to bring more patients to you, not to treat them for long times, to treat them effectively and get them out and get more patients in, to be able to take the seasonality out of things so that you've got more consistent income over a longer time period, and to make sure that we can prove our worth so that we are paid a decent rate and we're not forced to then cut the type of treatment that we believe is necessary. So when I started out I was getting good outcomes with my patients, like all of you I'm sure are. The doctors were happy with the outcomes, the patients were happy, and so the practice started to grow. I then employed physio and I did marketing to the doctors. I started to become unsure of whether the physios that I was employing were doing exactly what I was saying we were doing. And I realized we needed some way, an objective way of being able to train and measure therapists so that we knew we were all doing things in the same way, not prescriptive, not exactly the treatment that you're doing, but measuring the outcomes and the communication. What type of people are we looking for that we want to join together with? We really want people that can buy in and get behind the purpose of workability. So the purpose of workability is to give access to all South Africans, so that all South Africans can access rehabilitation. So we would prefer to work with practices that have a special interest in musculoskeletal injuries, that have an outpatient practice. They've got inpatient as well, that's great, but the outpatient practice. We want practices that are seeing medical aid patients as well as injury on duty patients. And the practices need to have enough space to be able to do exercises and rehab. It can't just be treatment cubicles. It's important to understand that Workability is a PTY Limited. It's a company. Workability offers practices the tools to be able to be the best that they can be, and links practices together to be able to pool that data so that the message is as strong as can be. If you are interested in finding out more, and you obviously need to know what is the business model, how much money can you make out of this. So we negotiate fees that are good for the practices, and obviously it depends very much on how you pay your staff and your internal runnings of your practice, but we can get into more of the detail down the line if you are interested. We want to make sure that we've got national coverage. We've got lots of very big distances between towns and cities, but in each area we're only going to work with one practice. We want to make sure that we really put our energy behind helping the practice to develop and grow, and we want to make sure we're working with people that have got the appetite and the energy to be able to take the vision forwards. So why should you join Workability? We know you're doing good work, we know you're doing good outcomes, but is your voice being heard? We want to be able to unite with good therapists to be able to let the funders and let everyone know that we can save money and get good results.